I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. The Narcos.
Time to change the vacation plans. Yeah, shout out one of our listeners.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I'll let you say it. I think
No, please. Go ahead.
I think it was Four Corners Steve that said this morning that his daughter and son-in-law were going to leave Thursday morning for Puerto Vallarta, and now hearing what's going on down there, they ain't going, and we are super happy they didn't leave and they're not trapped down there.
Well, there were flights yesterday that were taken off and turned around, and people trapped down there. Cartel violence exploding in Mexico. Tourists trapped in Puerto Vallarta.
I'll let you say that the whole time because I'll mess it up the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know how that came out even remotely close.
Good job.
But over the weekend, Mexico takes on the cartels, killing one of the top major drug lords, El Mencho, killed in Mexican military operation with U.S. intelligence support. And now the cartel is trying to respond by, do you see some of these videos where they drive around to the gas stations?
Yeah.
And then just spray gas everywhere and then light it on fire?
Yeah. Which... it's a weird thing because, again, there's part of it that I've never understood when you're having some of these internal struggles. I understand if you're maybe an invading force doing that and taking down infrastructure. But if you're already internal, taking down that infrastructure is just stuff that's going to have to be rebuilt. You're not helping things at this point. I mean, you're making it worse.
And, there's some fascinating things with this whole thing. The types of weapons they had. Mexico's security ministry said it seized weapons, armored vehicles, and rocket launchers capable of taking down aircraft and piercing armored military vehicles. So on one hand, you go, whoa, these cartels really are terrorist organizations. Trump was exactly right to label them terrorist organizations and to go after them. And then you see their response, which is, drive to a local gas station, spray around some gas, and light it on fire. Which, okay. Is that, wow, okay. That's the response. So how is this all going to play out? Is Mexico finally turning a corner with regards to these cartels? Is this the Trump effect down there playing out live before us? We'll get to all these details and more. Now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good Monday morning. Hopefully you had a great weekend. 24 and sunny in Denver, 25 in the Springs. Expecting highs in the mid-60s today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning. For a new home heating and cooling system, contact your Lennox dealer, Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at pastorcamp.com. Conditions apply. See your dealer for details. Our top story, if you're headed to New York this morning, your flight's probably canceled. Historic blizzard about to hit. Check before you head out to DIA or in Colorado Springs. Tourists are stranded in Mexico.
By the way, before you move on to Mexico real quick, we're watching Mamdani. He's talking about this blizzard that's taking place in New York City. Did you guys see he's hiring people?
Yeah,
to go out there
you have to have
and shovel.
ID. Yeah.
You got to get the paycheck. You got to show up with ID. Clearly, Mamdani has embraced racism at this point and has decided that only people with IDs will get paid to shovel snow.
Yeah,
terrible.
Amazing. Why doesn't that surprise me? And when a blizzard's coming, I can't think of a better mayor to have than him. God. Tourists are stranded in Mexico as violence erupts in the state of Jalisco, forcing the cancellation of more than 130 flights Sunday. Denver resident Scott Silkin says he and his friends were trying to go snorkeling in Puerto Vallarta when fighting between the Mexican army and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel broke out over the weekend.
You can see the town of Puerto Vallarta basically like burning in the distance. So we don't know when we're going to be able to go home.
The clashes began following the killing of the cartel's leader. As of now, Basilkin says the group is still waiting inside their rental home until being told the area is safe again. The U.S. State Department has issued a level 2 travel advisory for Mexico, and travelers are urged to check with their airlines before flying. Several criminal gangs, including the Jalisco Cartel, have been recently linked to major drug seizures across Colorado and the Denver metro area. Secret Service says law enforcement killed an armed man at Mar-a-Lago on early Sunday morning. The suspect has been identified as 21-year-old Austin Tucker Martin of North Carolina. No motive has been offered. 47 was not at Mar-a-Lago. The U.S. men's hockey team facing Canada in the gold medal game on Sunday. It goes to overtime in the Winter Olympics, tied at 1.
Now Jack Hughes puts it around McCarr. United States with numbers. Back across it comes. Jack Hughes wins it. The golden goal for the United States. For the first time since the 1980 miracle, the United States takes the gold. Jack Hughes beating Jordan Bennington.
Wow, what a scene. Team USA wins it 2-1 in overtime. Jack Hughes right there with the game winner in the extra period. Connor Hellebuck between the pipes, incredible. 41 saves, 3 or 4 of them were amazing. Puck almost got in there. You got the USA chanting at the celebration after they got out of the locker room and before Hughes spoke.
USA! USA! USA!
Obviously, so many people, everyone in this room has helped us so much get to this point. We're champions for a lifetime. We're so proud to be here. We're so proud to be American. And what a night for USA hockey.
Everybody raise your glass. Cheers to this group and play Freebird!
All right, DJT will have the men's and women's gold medal teams at the State of the Union tomorrow. And what a scene it was. The family of Virginia Giuffre is calling for federal action following her death by suicide in April of 2025. You may remember her brother and sister-in-law in the Springs are advocating for Virginia's law, which would eliminate the statute of limitations for child sex abuse victims. They have traveled to D.C. seeking release of investigative files and greater accountability and say the issue has a strong local connection. 2 members of a Venezuelan gang have been sentenced to 20 years in federal prison for robbing that Denver jewelry store.
No.
Yes.
What? Wait.
No way.
Hold on. The governor said this was a feature of our imagination.
Yeah, that's right. He sure did. We were all just drumming this up in our minds. And yes, almost 2 years ago this happened. The U.S. Attorney's Office said that Jean Torres Ramon and Newman Castillo Delgado pleaded guilty to robbery. It actually happened. And brandished a firearm. Investigators say the 2 men were part of a group that entered a business on West 38th Avenue and stole nearly $4 million in gold and jewelry.
Oh.
Jeez, I didn't even realize it. $4 million.
$4 million.
Wow. That didn't happen.
Wow.
There's no way.
But remember, Channel 9 was telling us this was all just landlord issues and disputes. No.
Oh,
There's no gangs here. No Venezuelan gangs. What are you talking about?
Yep. Got to remember. Always remember what was said, what was written. 5 other suspects in the robbery are still facing federal charges. All right, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says the issue of tariff refunds will come down to the lower courts.
Bessent made the comment on CNN's State of the Union after the Supreme Court ruled against most of President Trump's global tariffs on Friday.
The Supreme Court remanded it down to a lower court, and we will follow what they say, but that could be weeks or months when we hear them.
The justices concluded Trump overstepped his constitutional limits when he imposed the tariffs without congressional approval. President Trump hiked his new global tariff up to 15% following the decision. I'm Mark Mayfield.
We were talking about travel earlier. The Transportation Secretary Security Administration, that is keeping pre-check airport passenger screening in place for now. The decision comes after an earlier announcement Sunday that the faster security screening service would be paused because of the partial government shutdown. No reason was given for the reversal.
They gotta shut it down. They have to. Here's why. Mm-hmm. If you want the government open, you got to make the donors feel it.
True.
If we want to get this thing back open, and the people that are stroking the checks to all it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, make them feel it by shutting down TSA pre-check and clear and all those other things. They will start getting the phone calls, the texts. This government will be open. That's why they have to do this, in my mind.
Yep, absolutely. Good point. All 9 victims' bodies have been recovered from the site of the deadly California avalanche. In addition to the 9 victims, 6 people survived last Tuesday's avalanche in the backcountry ski area near Lake Tahoe. Nuggets fall to the Warriors 128-117, and the Celtics in Denver on Wednesday. 25 in the Springs, 24 in Denver, and that's the latest. I'm Blake Olson. More of the Jeff and Bill Show ahead on News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver, and now on AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you hear both sides. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
Your 710 KNUS forecast this early Monday. A few clouds this morning, temperatures in the middle 20s as you start the day. For the rest of your Monday, partly sunny, much warmer, highs around 65. Cloudy tonight, lows in the mid 30s. Even warmer for Tuesday, highs in the low 70s.
Weather brought to you by L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. For quick, trustworthy, and dependable service, call L&L Heating and Air Conditioning at 720-851-1691. Visit them online at bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. You'll be comfortable with L&L. I'm day weather meteorologist Patrice Sutter in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Seven ten KNUS here in Denver.
And now waking up with AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show where you get both sides. Now, Bill, I want to take a little bit of attention here because I'm watching on Instagram. Jack Hughes, the guy that made the game-winning shot for the Olympics, the men's hockey team. They're carrying him around on their shoulders out in the streets of Milan. And it appears they're going from like bar to bar, and they're having fun. I mean, to be, in your early 20s and to win the gold medal on the largest stage.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole world's attention is on you, and you are celebrating.
Oh, yeah. There was one hockey player that said, I'm going to go out and get effed up tonight. You can hear it in some of the cheering and celebrating. So, yes, that's exactly what they're doing.
Right. And as much as I esteem this great American tradition known as the State of the Union, where the president comes to report to Congress on the state of our nation, I gotta be honest with you, as political as I am, at the peak of my athletic success where the whole world is celebrating me, not quite sure I want to go sit in a political presentation for what you know will be 2 hours. At least, because DJT likes to talk.
Yeah, I love this. I love this point that the reward that Donald Trump is dangling in front of both of our Olympic champion teams in hockey, the ladies and the men, that, hey, you get to go to the State of the Union. I'm like, that sucks. I'm sorry. That's like being told, hey, look, I know that you just won the college national championship. Now you get to go into an economic lecture and sit there for 2 hours. That's no fun.
What do they typically say when they win something?
Yeah, like, okay, now we've for years and years and years, we've had people win the Super Bowl. And when the camera runs over to them and they're like, John Elway, you just won the Super Bowl. Now what are you going to do? He turns the camera with a huge smile on his face and says, I'm going to the State of the Union. No, that's not it. He's going to Disneyland. It would have been, I'm sorry. I appreciate that the president wants to do something nice for the guys, but this is more of the punishment.
The Army, he said he's sending in the military jets to grab the guys.
It would have been much cooler if he would have said, hey, I'm going to give you Air Force One, and I'm going to tell them to go up there and do that thing where they rise really fast and then you drop down so you all go weightless for a while. And then we'll take videos. That would have been a much better reward for the entire hockey team. Hey, you want to pretend like you're in space for a little while? I will make Air Force One do that for you. That's a reward.
I guess it could be worse. You know how it could be worse? Here's Air Force One and your trip to Puerto Vallarta.
Yes, exactly. All expenses paid.
Oh, my goodness. It's breaking out down there. Here's Fox News. Tourists trapped in Puerto Vallarta recount cartel retaliation after El Mencho was killed following the reported killing of major cartel leader Nemesis. His name is Nemesio Asueguero, known as El Mencho. Multiple American tourists vacationing in Puerto Vallarta told Fox News Digital they unexpectedly found themselves in the middle of a violent cartel retaliation. As airlines canceled flights and authorities issued shelter-in-place orders, stranded visitors reported cars set ablaze, suspected cartel members blocking major roads, stores ransacked by looters, scenes, some witnesses said, made parts of the popular resort city feel like a war was breaking out in the streets. Witnesses said they were forced to evacuate their rooms, manage with limited hotel food, and even venture outside in search of meals while waiting for Mexican authorities to regain control of the city. Staying at an Airbnb near a main road, a man from Charleston, South Carolina, told Fox News he woke up to blaring horns, saw 6 cars completely engulfed in flames just outside his balcony. He and his wife, who had arrived in Mexico only a day earlier, were forced to evacuate for several hours, fearing that a nearby fuel tanker, also set ablaze, could explode. Now, Bill, we're not big Mexican vacationers. I know, but I have plenty of friends because these Mexican resort towns are only, like 2 or 3 hour flights from Denver. So I've never been to these places. I don't know if you have, but
I have not.
If you have and had experience down there, what I have done in Mexico is build homes in some of the poorer communities like Juarez, and then I built an orphanage down in Copper Canyon. So I haven't been to the resort communities. I've been to and I can tell you that corruption is rampant in Mexico. The cartels, very powerful down there. And this has been affecting Americans for decades. Trump labeling the narco cartels as terrorist organizations And it seems like they're popping off and responding to increased pushback. And from my opinion, finally happening. The fact that Mexico has so many problems and is our neighbor in a big part because of these cartels. I'm proud that the president's taking action down there. I'm glad for the men and women of the DEA and what they've been doing to keep us safe. The fact that they've been pushing the Mexican government to take on these cartels. Look, this is what happens when you fight a terrorist organization. Trump was right to label these folks terrorists. I'm sorry it's happening, but we got to get rid of these folks. We can't continue to let them operate. As you see this exploding down in Mexico, Bill, what are your thoughts?
There's a problem. I mean, there's large layers to this problem that has been festering for years. It is very, very dangerous. And I, like many other people, have said that, yes, the Mexican government needs to take a stronger tact towards the cartels. But there are some problems with the amount of leverage, the amount of economic power that the cartels have, especially outside of the cities, in the rural area where the government doesn't have as much reach and life is on a different economic strata. The cartels can provide a standard of living and provide security that the regular police and regular jobs can't. So there is a bit of an economic push and pull there. And the other thing that America needs to come to grips with, and thankfully a lot of the great men and women working in the DEA are doing this, is understand that a good portion of the reason why these cartels have so much money and so much power is because of the appetite for drugs inside of America. That is their cash crop. They're not making as much money on human trafficking. They're not doing it on hacking and all things like that. It is the drug trade. And we have supported that for decades. We can go back through the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. So this is something that has long been established, and it is our appetite for those illegal drugs. And in my mind, the second plank is our availability for really powerful weapons that the Mexican cartels can get a hold of and take into Mexico. This has been a two-way sort of smuggling operation back and forth, with drugs coming north and arms and weapons going south. The video that you talked about, Jeff, with the guys running over to the gas station and, basically people are filling their cars up with gas. The cartel, who are amassed and have firearms, run up and scare the people away. Then they take the nozzles, pour them on the ground, put the nozzles away, and then light the fire right there. Those guys are carrying AR-15s that are American-made, in all likelihood, given where they are and the style from people that I've seen online. They're probably carrying American-made weapons. And so that's part of the problem that we have to get our heads around as well, is this is a two-way street. And so what do we do about this? I think that working together with the Mexican government would be much more appreciated than how we're going about it now. And I know, as difficult as this is for some people that are involved in MAGA, I am a firm believer that agreements like the what used to be called NAFTA, and now Donald Trump called the most wonderful negotiated trade relationship between countries ever when he did redo the one with NAFTA with Mexico and Canada, that helps as well, because integrating the economies of the countries will provide more stability and will also provide a better standard of living and less of an appeal for them to go after the drug cartels. If you have large manufacturing facilities inside of Mexico, if you have some of these towns supported by manufacturing, supported by companies rather than supported by the drug trade, I think you see a difference in the approach in some of those areas. But it's not a magic bullet. We can't wave a wand and change things today, because this is decades long in building.
Feel free to join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. Cap Hill Phil texting in. If Mexico's actually serious about taking out the cartels, maybe relaxing tariffs will help them through this time where they will lose tourist money would be a good idea. Others texting in, Joan from Lakewood. I was in Puerto Vallarta 25 years ago. I had good friends whose family went Puerto Vallarta in January. I prayed the entire time they were there. I'm worried that the cartels will start taking Americans hostage. Wow. If you have been down to Puerto Vallarta recently, or you have a place there, or you travel there regularly, you're seeing what's happening. Do you support the Mexican government with the aid of the Trump administration taking on these cartels? Or are they stirring up a hornet's nest? And we're going to have worse problems as a result of it. Look, we all knew Mexico was corrupt, and we just dealt with it. You went to the resort towns, and you kind of escaped behind the fences and enjoyed your time down there. Or is it time to clean up these problems? You appreciate the Trump administration labeling these cartels narco-terrorists and now putting pressure on the government to finally confront them. But it might be painful. These are actually terrorist organizations. And as we've seen everywhere else we've dealt with terrorists, when you start to actually confront them, they do terrorist-y types of things. But we have to do this to make our world safer. What do you think? Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Folks, let's talk game day men's health. I got my report right here. Look, guys, as we get older, things change. Maybe you haven't been feeling like yourself, more tired, more fatigued, more stressed than you want to admit. Bill, take it away.
Yeah, see, it's about low testosterone. It's as you get older, it's like second puberty, but this one sucks. You start losing hair and you feel worse. It's not like you're feeling, hey, I'm becoming a real man. You're like, I'm becoming kind of a blob. You feel run down, and it doesn't just drain your confidence. You actually can be at a higher risk of heart disease, diabetes, when these hormones and things get out of whack. So we have found the solution. Our friends at Game Day Men's Health. They're going to get your edge back. They're going to get you back in the game with a free testosterone check. Yeah, you can get it while you wait right there in the office. You can hang out if you're going to the Aurora Clinic where I do. You hang out with Rob, the clinician, and he goes and spins your blood and tells you what your numbers are and then talks about the path forward. Now, just in a couple of weeks of getting testosterone shots, I'm no longer having that middle of the afternoon doldrums, that brain fog where you feel like every room you walk into, crap, then you got to go retrace your steps. Or the idea that you're in the middle of the afternoon project and you've got to refocus again and again and again. That was happening to me over and over again. And I thought, hey, it's just what happens when you get old, because this is the first time I've been old. No, now I'm hanging out with my friends at Game Day Men's Health, and that is not the way it has to be. This is what changed it for us, is when Jeff and I were over there, they have this, basically it's a plaque that's inside their break room, not out front, telling everybody who walks in the door what their mission statement is. This is the mission statement that is private that we're sharing with you for all of the employees at Game Day Men's Health. They remind everybody there working that they are helping every day, helping guys be better dads, better husbands, better men. If you've been sitting there and you haven't been feeling that good, if you've had those doldrums, if you've been dreading going into the house after that long day of work simply because you feel like you don't have the energy to deal with that anymore, talk to our friends at Game Day Men's Health. They have a free testosterone check with your name on it, and you can find them in your neighborhood at Aurora, Cherry Creek, Parker, Inglewood, or Thornton. And the best way to find them, make the appointment at the place nearest to you at GameDayKNUS.com. GameDayKNUS.com, the one-stop website where you can find the clinic and immediately make an appointment that works with your schedule to the place and the Game Day Men's Health that is closest to you.
More to come of the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. Cap from Lakewood's coming up next. This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
And AM 1460 along with FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range, this is the Jeff and Bill Show where you get both sides. Mexico taking on cartels as killing of drug kingpin has sparked violence down there. Tourists reporting that they've had to shelter in place. Cars are exploding. Streets are being dug up. All that stuff. It's wild. And is this healthy that the terrorist organizations, these narco-terrorists, are being confronted by the Mexican government with help from the Trump administration? Or is this stirring up problems down there and you kind of knocked over a hornet's nest and you don't think this is going to be good for Mexico? Let's go to the phone lines. Cap in Lakewood. Good morning, Cap. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Yeah, morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank you for letting me be on. First and foremost, I just had a question about who's in charge of your music. Would that be Bill?
Well,
a little bit. Some of those
songs
you put in there.
Yeah, a little bit yes, a little bit no. Sometimes it's just the computer. We've loaded a whole bunch of stuff in there. So myself and Kelly Michaels have chosen the songs, but the random rotation is mostly up to the computer. I would love to switch some of them out sometimes, but the computer makes it very hard. The previous computer system, that was the lower quality one than this one, made it super easy. This one, no. This one was obviously not intended for a user interface ease of use. Not at all. This one, this current one was made by engineers to make it easier for engineers, not for anybody actually using the software. Not at all. No.
Yeah, no, I heard the Hives one day.
Yes.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I love the Hives. Yes, the Hives are in there.
People don't
yes.
know about. They were like way before the Strokes, and the Strokes kind of took their groove and became famous. But
yep. Oh, the Hives are fantastic.
Like 20 albums.
Oh, my man. You and I could geek out on that for a while. Yes, love the Hives.
And as far as here's a pun joke here. We're on the Mexican radio this morning, so we've got. I was going to make a point. You were mentioning economics of Mexico. Like I think Jeff said it just a while ago about large part of their money income is from selling drugs up here. So I'm going to throw out another one that I think a lot of people don't know about. And that's because I've been in the construction business for, 3-4 decades. So I have met 5 different men over a course of 35 years, different times, who are working on my job site with me. And I befriended, and whether it be on lunch break or just kind of working on the job site, these 5 different men told me the same story. And they were immigrants. They were not citizens here. They were working, and they told me that they were planning on working here for a while, gather up the United States cash, and then go back to their country. And that's why they don't become citizens. So they gather this for about 3 to 5 years, depending on how much they can gather up, how much they want. Then they go back to their country, which all that money is now worth more. And the 2 different guys told me, I'm going to buy a house and have a farm. I'm going to retire when I get back to my country. One guy was from Guatemala. I had 3 different guys from Mexico, and 1 guy was from Ecuador. So they all told me the same thing. Like, oh, no, we're just going to work here for a while and go back. So that's been happening for about 60 years. I'm going to say about 6 decades.
And the total amount on that, Cap, the total amount on that is $65 billion annually of remittance.
Oh, there's someone studied that?
Yep.
Yeah, see, so here's my point that people might not understand. I think if it wasn't for this country, for the United States, if you look at over the past few decades, by now, let's just imagine that we weren't allowing that to happen. We weren't allowing them to take money back, and we weren't allowing all these drugs to come here. So what kind of money and economic system would Mexico actually have if you looked at the past 60 years without those things? Would they even be here? Would they be just so poor that they wouldn't be able to do anything? It's like, I think that's something a lot of people don't know. And I would like to hear other people that are listening to this who are in the construction business, if they've experienced what I've experienced. Have them call in and say, hey, yeah, that one guy's right. I had a guy tell me the same thing. He's going to make money here, and he's going to go back. He doesn't want to become a citizen, see? So he can go back, and now they are still citizens of their country, but they take a whole bunch of cash back. and that's a huge loss on our economics.
It is, and it
One, two,
accounts
bang.
for about 4 to 5% of Mexico's entire GDP is what's called remittance. So money that's made here, sent back there, roughly $65 billion. That's what we know of, but it has dropped. It's dropped considerably since Trump got back into office here, and Trump proposing increasing the taxes on it. So, all right, are you going to do this? We're going to tax the crud out of it because it's money that's leaving our country. So, Cap, Lakewood,
crazy.
I appreciate the call. Thanks so much for the insight
thanks.
on that. We're talking the cartel activities that have taken place over the weekend. Mexico, essentially in an operation very similar to what we did in Venezuela, kind of swooping in with Mexican special forces, taking out really their top drug kingpin. There's a $15 million bounty on this guy. And you guys remember the name El Chapo? Well, this was the guy that kind of took over. For El Chapo, he was known as the fentanyl lord down there. And the Mexican government taking him out. Remember, the Trump administration pushing the president to get more serious on the cartels, leveraging tariffs in order to do so. She's responding, took out the drug kingpin. Then the cartels responding with violence, lighting gas stations on fire, cars on fire, tourists having to shelter in place. Planes from Denver turning around yesterday and coming back. What do you make for all of this? Join the conversation. Do you appreciate what Trump's doing here, labeling them narco-terrorists and seeking to take them out now? Or is he stirring up a hornet's nest in a country that we've always known to be corrupt? Give us a call at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Let's go to Mike in Denver. Good morning, Mike. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning. I was calling in because I've been down to Puerto Vallarta area probably 5 times in the last 12 years, and we've never stayed right in the city, but we've found a place that is about 45 minutes north called Punta Mita, and just gorgeous area. And we stayed at the Four Seasons, the Conrad Hilton. We had planned a visit for March 7th, and we were going to go to a new resort near those 2 properties called by the Hyatt called Secrets, and we had committed and had to prepay about $4,500. And all of a sudden, my daughter yesterday sent me a link about what was going on, and it just clicked in my mind. I go, God, I think our cancellation date to get our money back is like the 23rd. And sure enough, I checked, and it was. So yesterday, we looked at all the videos online, you know, with the Costco on fire, the cars, people being pulled out of their cars, etc. That were, and we immediately canceled. And when I talked to the hotel down there, you know, they were obviously in dismay and upset because we weren't the only ones calling, and I'm sure during the springtime, their facilities are packed, and people are calling constantly to cancel. So the loss of revenue from all those properties in Puerto Vallarta and nearby resorts are going to be taking a huge hit because I'm sure many people are calling and canceling immediately. So we've been down there. You know, it's been great. It's been safe. But we aren't going to risk it this time with the airport being closed, flights canceled, people being, you know, attacked and so forth. So looks like Puerto Vallarta is off the visit list for a while.
Mike, I think that's the case for a lot of people. I don't blame them at all. What do you expect to happen here? Do you think it's going to escalate? Look, when you're taking on terrorist organizations, they're going to act terrorist-y. That's just what they do. So do you expect it to escalate for a little bit, for the government to respond and finally try to clean up their country? Where do you think this is going to go?
You said it's going to take a long time, and I believe you're right. Now that this gentleman has been killed, they support so many people, livelihood down there, that have a disruption in there. And if the government is going to continue to try and take over and discontinue their operation, I think there's going to be chaos down there for years to come until they're able to clean it up. And how long that will take, it ain't going to be overnight, that's for sure.
Mike, Denver, great call. I sure appreciate it. Thanks so much. That's Mike from Denver. His line's open. Jump in on the conversation at 303-696-1971. Let's talk the Ashboss Center for Therapy. In fact, we're going to have them in later in studio at 9 o'clock. Family member who's getting some shoulder surgery just texted me today and said, hey, do you know a good physical therapist? I'm like, yes, I absolutely do. And Ashboss is going to be live in studio with us later. Look, you deserve care that's focused on you, not a crowded physical therapy clinic where you bounce between clinicians. And that's what Bill and I connected with regards to Ashboss Center for Therapy. Every visit is one-on-one with a licensed physical therapist in a private treatment room. So you get their full attention from start to finish. The barriers that are keeping you from seeking help, like from chronic back pain or joint stiffness or recovering from surgery, are erased at the Ashboss Center for Therapy because they do things differently. Bill, tell them more.
Yeah, they do. They probably accept Medicare along with most other insurances. But what they did is they took a look at how most physical therapy operations were run and decided, I don't like that at all. Many other places where you do physical therapy, I've been through it a number of times. Jeff has as well. Perhaps you or someone in your social circle or your life has, where you get into like a big workout room. The person comes over, gives you some options of things you should be doing and how many times to do them, and then you move stations like you do in a larger gym. That is not the experience at Ashboss Center for Therapy. It is a one-on-one session. They pride themselves on that hands-on manual therapy approach where they're with you the entire time and helping you go through each and every exercise, making sure you have full range of motion because, as you know, you hit that gym. You may be doing all those curls to get the biceps you want, but if your form is off, you're not getting the benefits. That's the difference you're going to get with Ashboss Center for Physical Therapy. They are going to make sure that everything you're doing works towards getting you better. It is a small, private office where it's more like just a one-on-one session. You want that private personal trainer? Yeah, you're in the gym, you got to walk around with them. You're still doing all the stuff in front of them. It is the same experience. It is a private, personal experience focused on you getting better, and each and every session is simply about you, helping you stay independent and active. If you haven't liked your physical therapy experience in the past, if you're tired of being in that big room and doing all the exercise in front of somebody else, there's one phone number, 303-756-3388, 303-756-3388, or ashbawpt.com, ashbawpt.com. They're private, personal, and focused on you. Contact Ashboss Center for Therapy today.
You still taking that trip to Mexico for spring break? Give us a call. Join the conversation. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
And broadcasting on AM 1460, FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. We've got Paul from Colorado Springs joining us next. We are the Jeff and Bill Show.
710 KNUS in Denver.
Along with AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs.
All along the Front Range. This is the Jeff and Bill Show. Lots of news coming out of Mexico as the government takes on the cartels down there, taking out the kingpin, the big one, the fentanyl lord, as he's known, in a special operations. And it was supported by the Trump administration providing intelligence. And as a result, cartels are fighting back in the streets, lighting cars on fire. Are you canceling your trip to Puerto Vallarta for spring break? Or do you think this will just blow over? What do you think? Let's go to Paul in Colorado Springs. Good morning, Paul. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, you might want to redirect your flight and stay away from Mexico just for a little while, But it's going to get pretty hot down there, I'm sure. It's been going on for a long time, and they're always battling. I wanted to touch a little bit on your previous caller that was in construction field, and what happened is in the '80s, a lot of these construction guys, Americans, a lot of them from Colorado. I'll talk about Colorado. They got in the unions, you got in the apprenticeship, you come up in the carpenter, iron workers, pipe fitter trades, and it was good wages. Well, a lot of the non-unions wanted to compete, and that's where it really got messed up because they started hiring a lot of illegals that can work for half the wages, and, man, that's where it really started hurting the industry, and they did. They saved their money, and they'd send it back to Mexico, go down and live a good life after 2 or 3 years. But in the meantime, it started hurting the more American workers here because the trades were getting harder and harder to find people.
Paul, I'm of the opinion that we didn't want to do anything about that lower wage workforce, that we were okay with it, in part because lower wages. Also in part, you didn't have some of the same insurance claims and things over it. The idea being that if I'm running a job site and I can employ half of my workforce as undocumented, I'm not claiming them necessarily on my healthcare forms. I'm not claiming them on some of my other deductibility forms based on some other Social Security, things like that. Maybe not. Depends on how I do that. I may be running a crew of 15, and let's say, if half of them are, maybe only claiming that 3 or 4 of those illegals are actually gainfully employed and then deducting them from Social Security taxes that I should be doing. There are things like that that I think we're playing with. And the other thing that I look at is all of this complaint, and I'm curious about your question, your idea about this, Paul, this complaint that, oh my gosh, these workers are just here, they're making all this money, then they're taking it back home to Mexico somewhere else. We don't seem to complain when corporations take their money and offshore the profit somewhere else, or billionaires take their money and put them into accounts offshore so they can avoid taxes and other things. For that, it's about being smart. But in this case, it's about robbing Americans. It's weird that way, that we get upset one way but not the other.
You're exactly right. I mean, I have a couple different businesses, and my construction business, I only hire, that are here citizens because of just what you're saying. The liability is just kind of rough. But if we was to stop it, it's like penalize these companies, these businesses that are doing it. Maybe they can lose their business license for a few months just to kind of teach them a lesson. But back to your other comment about sending the money out to different countries and living off the dividends. So I think the Obamas are one of the famous ones for doing that. And the Swiss banks hold a lot of American politician money.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same. It's the exact same thing. You're right on it. How do we stop it? I don't really have an answer for that, but I just try to hire Americans, pay them a fair wage, and treat them good. Back to the cartel, though, if you think about it, we actually have the cartel doing the same thing here in the United States. The only thing is they're called Minnesota politicians.
Eruption.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
All right,
nice
Paul,
one, Paul.
Colorado
I like that.
Springs, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. People online pointing out, Mexico proving that we need a border. They're literally blowing up stuff in the streets. So, yeah, if you don't want that here, support a strong border. Well, we'll continue the conversation. Plus, tariffs. What's Trump planning to do now? How did that change all over the weekend? All of this and more to come. But most importantly, we want you to be a part of the conversation. Give us a call at 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS in Denver.
And on AM 1460 along with FM 101.1, The Answer in Colorado Springs. This is where you get to hear both sides. You're listening to us last Friday. We said Donald Trump's coming back with his tariff thing. He's just going to call him something else. Maybe fees, just like Colorado Democrats. Then Lauren Boebert says the same thing on the Bill Maher Show. Hey, she's a fan. We'll be right back. This is the Jeff and Bill Show.